very much for being here and answering our questions regarding TASTE.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for the opportunity to explain the background and the history of TASTE. Okay, let's start with my background. I have got extensive experience in education together with the hospitality and tourism industry. So have come from a background of teaching and learning in all aspects of hospitality. I specialized for many years in the culinary field, and in that opportunity started understanding how teaching and learning happens in a formalized environment. I also was exposed to the conflict that arises between skills-based knowledge and academic knowledge, and that argument and how you work with that argument in terms of designing courses that will allow for credibility at a higher education level. Right, then we go on to the history of TASTE. TASTE was designed or started as an idea many, many years ago. I've heard about it, I was experiencing it, and this need for creation of a culinary course or culinary field of education, but that manages to creep into the higher education framework. That is challenging because craft as pure craft, in other words, being a pure chef, would not allow the course or the student to be recognized for higher education. So the opportunity came in the last year to investigate the option of developing a course together with this culinary skills development and academic knowledge development that would be recognized by Manchester Metropolitan University for an honours degree top-up course. We did that and successfully achieved being accredited and validated to offer that course, which is a big, exciting opportunity because it's the first opportunity within the Romanian higher education framework. It also fits in well with where American European education is going in terms of this package being focused on hospitality. And hospitality does not only offer accommodation and F&B and those aspects as managerial opportunities, it also offers the culinary side or chef opportunities to business. And that was a gap. That was a huge gap in the knowledge of students wanting to study this. Hence, the course was designed. This is a challenging question because I think time will tell, and as everything else, evidence will come from 4 to 5 years from now when the first qualified students go into the market. I think the big gap to date, and it has been recognized internationally, is the gap between managerial knowledge and culinary knowledge. Chefs, when they study on site, which is a good way to learn to be a chef, have a gap in their understanding of money, marketing, HR, and business practice. Those gaps result in a lot of chefs not making successful businessmen. It's often joked that the fastest way to lose money is to open a restaurant, and the fastest way to go bankrupt is a restaurant. And very, very few good chefs are also good business people. Now, the course has been designed within the Romanian framework to provide a filling for that gap, and that is that we will focus on business management together with culinary as the main themes of the course. TASTE is being created to be like the other programs within the American European education system or programs to fit the gap between pure academic knowledge and the needs of industry. In other words, to make the learning valuable as an employment strength. Good relations with the industry is a gap. Most institutions of higher learning don't have good relationships with the industry in which they are providing students for employment. The other gap is often that the experience of the students is limited to the theoretical without application. Bridging that gap is not easy. A lot of pure academic institutions will argue that that's not their role. I believe in this industry, in the hospitality industry specifically, it has a heartbeat that is different to other areas of employment. And guiding students into understanding the theory of what they're doing, together with how this is going to play out in industry. Because we're dealing with people. We're going to be feeding people for money. That's the bottom line. And I need to know what the people are, otherwise I can't do this successfully. Also, how to extrapolate or how to extract theory from pure practical. So finding theoretical components that support the learning to make this a program that is suitable for higher education. And there is no other higher education program, or very few higher education programs, even in Europe, that has that combination. All courses should be structured according to what we call in educational fields as building blocks. In other words, what are the main themes of what you're going to be teaching, and how are you going to structure the learning from beginning learning to advanced learning. The TASTE program in Culinary Business Management, which is the main qualification that we're speaking about here, has a couple of underlying principles of construction. The first is that it has 4 pillars of learning. The first is obviously culinary. So in the culinary world, what are we going to teach you? So we're going to teach you the practical. Yes, you will have good hand skills. Then we're going to teach you the theory attached to food, which is something which most people ignore, such as what happens when we apply heat to food, what happens when we freeze food, what happens when we put acids or alkalis with food, and how do they respond to that. That is the theory of food. The second one is nutrition. No chef today can go into the industry ignorant of the nutritional demands that the customer has of the chef today. Understanding also that most chefs are now being the home preparer of food as the population starts working outside or eating outside of their home environments more and more and more. So the chef has to be conscious of nutritional requirements, and also dietary deviations, such as diabetics, such as celiacs, such as allergies. And knowing that comes from a knowledge of nutrition. The third one is menu design and menu engineering, and that brings in the business aspect. How do you design a menu and how do you engineer a menu to get the most out of your customer? Because that's what we effectively want to do. We want to take money out of every consumer's pocket and put it into the pocket of the business. The second field of business is obviously the business management skills itself. Here we look at business management, we look at HR, and we look at marketing. The third arm, or the third pillar, is finance. Most people do not understand how money works. They will talk about profit, but they don't understand how it's structured. They will talk about contractual agreements that have financial implications, but they don't understand what that means. And they are not really in a position to read profit and loss statements and risk statements and what we call revenue and how it is managed. How do you play with your revenue stream to keep you soluble as a business so that you can make a profit? Profit is one thing. Increase income, decrease your costs. That sounds good in theory, but how do you do it practically? And that is what we pass. And then obviously the last section, or the last pillar, are the languages, are the research methodologies, because you will be writing a dissertation. This is higher education. And at the honours level, the honours degree level, you will be expected to complete a dissertation, whether that is in the form of an empirical dissertation or a business-based research project. that we will determine with industry as we need their help with the responses to that work. You have to consider very closely how you study and what your ambitions are. What is the dream? If you want to dream to be a successful business person, there has to be recognition that you require more than just hand knowledge and skill knowledge. Yes, that will work. That will get you halfway. But it will not take you all the way to successful business. The other side is that the dynamics and the competition out there today is intense. Knowing the background and knowing alternatives and a couple of options which you can use for business decision making will allow you to be a better business person. Okay, the question often asked, and I'm often confronted on this, is it better for me to learn on site as an apprentice, or is it better for me to come to a formalized educational environment? The answer is actually very simple. It depends on how you learn and depends on how far the dream goes. Most chefs, in my experience, and I was a chef, most chefs in my experience have limited knowledge of finance and of business practices. And that will limit the dream if you are wanting to become successful on that front. Internationally, there's a resurgence in interest in food, all the culinary programs on television, as well as all the cookery shows and all the emphasis on nutritional implications of eating incorrect food and damage or food that you require, has led to people wanting to know more and to demand more of the chef. The other structure which has changed is that the dynamic of management is not what it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, a chef could get away with throwing pots and knives and forks around in the kitchen, and he would probably be tolerated. Not in today's working environment. In today's working environment, in which we're dealing with different learners, with different exposure to technology, you have all the technology at your fingertips which did not exist, and different cooking methods with different senses of equipment. You need somewhere to be formally or to have structured learning. You can structure it yourself, but very few people are disciplined enough for that. So to dedicate 3 years of your life and to come and do a structured course, then you know that you've got it all. Or to go and learn on your own and have to plan your own learning. And that's the challenge. People with culinary belief, people with deep senses of wanting to succeed in the culinary world. I often ask students when they come for an interview, have you ever cooked for money? This is not cooking as we would have expected as an extension of a home industry or a home skill. This is learning to cook within the trends that are happening, using the ingredients which are internationally known, using the cuisines of Thailand, China, Spain, Portugal, Britain, America, Canada. It is all a blend of knowledge. You have to know where the consumer demand is going. What is the trend? Where are the food supplies coming from? How will you have? So to a student, you must be inquisitive. I want you inquisitive. I want you to seek knowledge. I want you to be passionate about success, both your own and that of your business. And I want you to allow us to teach you. Open up. Don't say, why must I do this module or this unit? Accept that within the bigger program, it all comes together once you get to the end. And then, of course, hard work. As with any other student, you're not going to achieve unless you put in some effort. And the effort is many hours of learning. And, you know, most people that achieve well have dedicated. There's a direct proportion, they say, to the effort that you take in your own learning between the ages of 18 and 23. So people that dedicate good energy and the time and the effort to their own personal learning between the ages of 18 and 23, they have tracked those people in research, and they are the successful ones at 40. So it's not immediate success, but if you are wanting success in your life as you develop in your career and in your career option, then you have to put in the effort when you're in an educational environment. The other reason that I would like to say, you need to be interested in traveling, because this is a career that's going to take you anywhere in the world. You will never be hungry. You will never not have a job. The fast food industry, the restaurant industry, the providing of food for aeroplanes and aeronautical needs of food, the development of food into packaging that is going onto the shelves, all the ready-made foods, these are all areas that chefs work in, not only restaurants, but these are all business worlds. That's the common denominator. The other one is also if you want to become, and very few ultimately stick out, because that is a total lifestyle. You've got to dedicate 18, 20 hours of your day, every day, to the production of food to become a Michelin chef, for example. If you're prepared to do that, fantastic. If you're wanting a different lifestyle, chefing will allow you to do that. It has a little spot in the labour market for you. I recommend to TASTE's future students is allow us to teach you, come here with enthusiasm, come here with a deep sense of inquisitiveness. And I'd like to mention to most people, start listening to your grandmother. Listen to the little stories that she has, because those crafts, those skills are getting lost. And I'm amazed in the world within Romania of how much culinary knowledge is still existing in one generation back. It's lost in our mothers, and it's lost in a lot of the younger generation, the 18 to 30-year-olds. But it's still there in your grandmothers. So, take down her recipes. Listen to how she did things. Listen to how the preparation methods were done. If we look at the slow cooking food, the slow food movement, all the slow food movement is going back 50 years in how it was done then. So learn from everybody. Read as much as you can. Be inquisitive. Allow us to teach you. And be hungry. Hungry for money and hungry for success.